Now's your chance.
Now's your chance before we get rocking on this.
Wait, now what's the correct answer to that? Something or something, remember? African or European? What? Go ahead, oh yeah, go ahead.
Question here.
Hi, yes, Tom. I know you've done other movies, and one of the movies you did, one of my favorites was Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, which had my cousin Peter Barton, who was murdered in the shower in that movie.
I remember him, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, what's your recollections of working with him?
I thought he was too good looking to be alive. No, he was really great. No, he was fun. Great sense of humor. I enjoyed killing him. Hey, can you hear me okay? This is not muffled or anything, is it? Because sometimes they come up here and you did, okay. So I don't have to do that. Yeah, back there, what? No more questions? Well, thanks for coming.
Got a quick one right here.
Okay.
My favorite movie growing up is Night of the Living Dead 1999 that had a big impact on me. Is there a scene or something from there that you remember that you really enjoyed filming, or something you want to talk about? It's something I watched a ton of times.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's more than one. Yeah, there's all sorts of great moments in there. Working with Uncle Reach, who's my lifelong friend, Pat Logan. He passed away a few years ago. So, you know, him doing that fall, that was really him.
Wow.
And he did that 2 weeks after his motorcycle accident, where he had a broken collarbone. They took out his spleen, and he actually did the stunt. So that was one of them, yeah. Question?
The point. Let's hit this back here. Let's hit this back here.
Hey,
Hey, what?
I just want to know, what movie do you wish you did special effects for?
Let's see, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman. You know, start at the top, and there's got to be thousands of them, you know. Yeah.
Hey Tom, I read or saw a video somewhere that said that you had your life saved by a duck. Is that true?
You don't know that story?
Do not.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Anybody else know the story? You do? Okay, some people do, but most of you don't. Okay. I was a combat photographer in Vietnam, and when I got put on the worst duty possible toward the end of my tour. You're there for a year. So it was me and the woods. So if the Viet Cong were coming, I was first contact with 3 other guys in a bunker made of sandbags, and you know, and there were 7 of these bunkers. And in front of each bunker was a tripwire, which means if you bumped it, a flare would go off. If you cut it, it was spring-loaded, a flare would go off. So there was one in front and on each side. Now, if you saw 1,000 Viet Cong running at you, you were not allowed to open fire. You had to call the officer in the command bunker. He would come with a night scope, and if he saw them, he would have to call battalion to get permission to fire, okay? Now, it's my 7th day of guard duty. 3 o'clock in the morning, we had just smoked the biggest joints you can imagine, because the marijuana in Vietnam was the best in the world. So 3 o'clock in the morning, we smoked the big joint, and my trip flare went off right in front of my bunker, 50 yards away, and I immediately opened fire with the M16 machine gun. The guys above woke up, and they're hitting claymore mines and grenade launching. Every bunker in the line opened fire in front of my bunker. The greatest 4th of July you can imagine, okay? Anyway, it was a duck. So now you can see a caravan of headlights coming from battalion to me. It was a general that got out of the Jeep. Why did you open fire? Well, my trip flare went off, sir. Well, I guess I would have opened fire too. What was it? It was a duck, sir. Did you get it? No, it flew away. So they took me off guard duty that night. And the rest of my time in Vietnam, they called me Duck Slayer. Okay? But the next night, we were attacked. Sapper squads came in. Guys in those bunkers died, American soldiers. I wasn't there because of the duck. So the duck saved my life.
All right.
And I never eat duck, okay? Anybody else? Yeah, back there. Can you still hear me okay? It just sounds
Yeah.
Hey Tom, I was wondering, what's your favorite Lon Chaney Sr. makeup job?
Well, it would have to be the Phantom of the Opera, you know. Because it's basically a stage makeup. You know, he painted his nostrils bigger, you know, painted white under his eyes to make his eyes bigger. So it's basically a stage makeup in a movie, you know, but he was the master of that, and he was a big influence. I have a son named Lon after Lon Chaney. He has a daughter named Chaney. You know, Chaney is a Chaney Savini walking around, you know. But I'm hoping people don't think she was named after Dick Cheney.
So I had a question. Since we're celebrating the Night of the Living Dead 90, how did you end up being the director of it, for the people that don't know?
How did I end up being the director of Night of the Living Dead 90? Well, George and I were walking down a hall somewhere, and he said, I got financing to remake Night of the Living Dead. And I thought, great, I'm going to make zombies for George again. He said, no, I want you to direct it. That was it. That was it. That was it. You know, he had already done it. He didn't want to do it again. And, you know, and I had directed 3 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side,
Right.
that he just loved, you know, so yeah, he asked me to do that.
As far as the directing side of it, what was the biggest challenge on that film?
The whole movie was a
Really?
challenge.
The
Yeah.
whole movie?
Yeah. It was the worst experience of my life. And thank you so much for asking me about it.
That's what I'm here for.
And a question on this side.
I'm ready.
Hey Tom, it's
Hey, what?
It's Felch, Sonic Out. I have a question to ask you regarding Night of the Living Dead remake.
Not a good idea.
How did you get a hold of Butchie George and get him to be a Night of the Living Dead remake?
How did I get a hold of who?
Butchie George, Butchie from Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, the pagan.
Well, friend of Larry Vera's. The guy who rode with the big sidecar.
Larry passed away, I heard.
That's right, back in April 27,
Yeah. But
2000.
Butchie was one of the pagans in the motorcycle gang. So your question was what? How did I what?
How did you get him to be in Night of the Living Dead remake?
He wasn't in Night of the Living Dead.
I thought he was. No, he was in the movie. I saw him near the very end at the, picnic party. Him and Terry Tone, and they were throwing stuff. They were circling around the zombies and throwing stuff at him. And I heard he worked the art department for that movie.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Are you sure?
Hilarious.
He's got you.
No, there were some guys that looked a lot like him, though. You know, those bikers. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But I can hear you. What? Which movie do I prefer, Friday the 13th or The Burning? The Burning. Yeah, I mean, I turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 because Jason was running around. I said, oh no, we're going to change that. They didn't, of course. Because to me, Jason is a kid that died in the first movie, okay? And that was a big argument between me and Betsy Palmer. She said, we never found the body. Okay, so he came out of the lake and didn't know where he was and lived off, crayfish for 35 years? You know, nobody saw this weird kid running around in there. But she says nobody found the body, and that's why there's Jason today. So they didn't offer me part 3. But the series was waning, and they gave me the final chapter, okay? Which they thought was going to be the last one, obviously. It's called the final chapter. But it made so much money. There's going to be a Friday the 13th, part 13. We're up to 12 now. Okay. Anybody see the last one? Wasn't it the dumbest piece of shit you've ever seen? Really, it was so stupid. They put Jason in a tree shredder, and his mask flies off, and they don't show the great makeup that they did on Derek Mears as Jason, okay? Never showed it. But they drag him 150 yards to throw him in the lake. So as soon as he went in the lake, you went, okay, when's he popping back up? That's why they threw him in the lake, you know? They were trying to duplicate the scare at the end of the first one, you know, which was my idea. Because it wasn't in the script. I had seen Carrie, remember Carrie where the hand comes up? So I said, we need a surprise shot like that. And that's why Jason comes out of the lake at the end, and it's a dream sequence. Yeah.
As a kid growing up, I was a Boy Scout in New York, and we used to go to Staten Island to go to camp out there, camp out, and they used to tell us the story of crop seed.
Right.
Scared the hell out of me. And then I seen the movie you did.
Oh.
And I'm still shaking.
So the movie came out after that.
The Burning, yeah. So, what is
There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff in The Burning, yeah.
It's great stuff. And now they have a true life story about a guy who they believe became Crosby later on. Maybe because of kind of like copycat type thing. But so I mean, how do you feel about the movie itself?
Oh, I love that movie, yeah. You know who's in that? Holly Hunter, Jason Alexander, you know. Jason Alexander. Oh, he was hilarious even back then, yeah. And he had hair. But the Cropsey, but we had a Cropsey in Pittsburgh way before the Burning. I don't know how old you guys are, or if you're, remember the Green Man? People used to go see the Green Man by some railroad tracks. And it was a guy that was burned, and he only walked around at night so nobody would see him, but people would go in carloads just to see him. The Green Man. Yeah, right back there. Well, you've heard all of this shit before.
I love it. I love it.
I was just wondering, you talked about how the Friday the 13th, the last one, was an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, if you could have redone it in some way to make it seem better, if you had the choice, what's one thing you would have done?
Well, I would have taken out the line, your tits are stupendous. I would have taken that line out. And when the guy lost his gun in the puddle, I would take the line out that he actually says, "Where are you, gun?" I hate people that talk in movies. I'm constantly asking people to shut up, which is why I don't go to the movies anymore in theaters. Anyway, when that happened in the movie, from that second on, we were yelling, "Where are you, gun?" Or "Your tits are stupendous." And everybody laughed with us because they all thought this movie was stupid, okay? Anyway, that's why there hasn't been a remake. Another one, I mean. Yeah.
Hi, Tom. Would you ever consider directing a remake of Dawn of the Dead?
Wow, that would be something, yeah. Well, there was a remake of Dawn of the Dead, and there was no motorcycle gang, and you didn't, except for the Jay Leno zombie, there weren't any zombies to remember, you know. But I had fun doing it. She's a twitcher, you know. No, there's nobody over there. Everybody looked over there like, look! Yeah.
All right, here you go.
Hey, how's it going, Tom? Quick question. Awesome. You mentioned the remake not having a biker gang. Have you guys ever thought about maybe exploring like a prequel of like how they got together, how they were living on the run before they got to the mall, or is that something that doesn't get you?
Some people would like that, yeah. Fans of Son of Anarchy, or some people would dig that. I thought it was kind of cool to see this army of bikers, and then you gave them a history yourself. You could imagine what the hell they were doing out there before they got to the mall, you know. But somebody might be interested in that. Not me. in particular. Over there?
Yep.
You again. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully it's correct.
Let's go on the road again.
Okay, Tom. How do you want to bet your character Blades was raised? What kind of family did he come from?
Blades. Blades from Dawn of the Dead. There's a theory that in all the movies I've been in as a biker, that it's the same guy. You know, I wound up in Knight Riders after the Dawn of the Dead, you know, but yeah. But, because I've been a biker in quite a few. How was he raised? I think he had awful toilet training, okay? No, I have no idea. So I know what you're saying. Did I give that character a history? Yeah, that relates to your question. Because I was I was the leader of that gang. You know, I'm the guy that said, should we attack him tonight or tomorrow? To Richie, you know. I don't know. That's 42 years ago. You know. Why I can't hear you? Hang on. Let's get a mic.
Here you go. You're wasting your time. Here you go.
Okay, no offense, Tom, but Rudy Ritchie was the leader. You were the assistant head biker.
Why? Because I asked him if we should attack him tonight or tomorrow?
Yeah, you were the second leader.
I wish Marty Schiff was down here. Because Marty Schiff is listed in Creepshow as garbage man #1. And everybody keeps telling me I was garbage man #2. I choreographed that scene. It was my idea to do the fucking scene. But I'm garbage man #2. And now you're telling me that I'm the assistant leader of the motorcycle. Well, fuck you!
Got a funny feeling that's your last question.
One, I just kind of wanted to yell out, you were the Shadow King. You're not #2, you're secretly #1. And
in what?
And as the garbage man in a creep show, you are secretly #1. You are the Shadow King. And for the
Thank you, kindly.
And
I agree.
And the other thing was, sorry, I'm taking so long. If you had the option to, this is a really stupid question, but if you had the option to switch out the zombies in any of the Living Dead movies with like something else completely, like literally anything you want, as ridiculous or as serious as you want, what would it be?
A circus clown. We had a circus clown. I don't know, I think they were all pretty well cast and did a great job, yeah. Go ahead.
You work with Bill Lustig and Joe Zito. What's your recollections of working with both? Both of them, by the way, did good movies with you.
Well, Bill Lustig I met when we did Maniac, you know, and he was just a lot of fun, you know. Joe Zito, he's the guy that calls me like on Monday, Tom, I need you in South Africa on Wednesday. Because he keeps firing the makeup guy and then bringing me in. On Friday the 13th, another makeup artist was doing that movie. He fired him and brought me in Africa for Red Scorpion. He fired the guy and brought me in. So he's done that like 2 or 3 times. So he makes movies in Israel now. You know, I wish he would call me to go there after firing the makeup guy. You know?
So what can you tell us behind you?
Who? What? Who's
I'm hiding behind you.
Oh, you again?
Me again. So what have you been up to lately?
Oh, June 24th, my newest movie is coming out, The Black Phone, with Ethan Hawke, yeah. And it's a Universal picture, which means I have just created the newest Universal monster. Yeah. Ethan Hawke. Yeah. So yeah, June 24th that comes out. So that was the latest thing, you know. You know, I'm 75, I'm still doing this shit. You know? Well, it's not really shit, it's passion. You know, yeah, it's what I most enjoy doing.
Was it on Black Phone, was there anything in addition to the mask itself that you worked on? Okay.
No, I did the mask. Apparently, he wears a series of masks depending on his mood, and I designed the masks. And my business partner, Jason Baker, he created them. In fact, if you've come by my table, there's 2 full suits of armor from Knight Riders, the future one and the medieval one. And he's the guy that restored those with Wilfrey. And they're sitting up there in the room next to my table. They're standing up there.
I carried stuff.
Yeah. Well, why did I say that? Why was I talking about that?
Black phone.
What did you, oh, Black Phone. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. But I hear it's really scary, and it got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. They don't do that. So it must be good. I've done a number of interviews with people who have seen it, and they just loved it and said it was really scary. I didn't want them to tell me anything, though. You know, I don't want to know anything. Were you raising your hand, though? Who else? Anybody? Yeah, way back there, yeah. We'll get you next, okay?
Yeah, I was just wondering, did you still have the, or did you design the gun belt from Dusk Till Dawn with Sex Machine?
The crotch rocket. We called it the crotch rocket. It took a year of begging, but I finally got it from them, yeah. I still own it. And no, it wasn't my design, it was in Desperado. Salma Hayek takes it out of the guitar case, and she says, I don't even want to know what this is about. She puts it back. But I got to wear it in Dusk Till.
How did you wind up doing masks for the WWE?
I was at a convention once and Chris Jericho was a guest. So he invited me backstage whenever they come to Pittsburgh. We still go backstage in the commissary and eat dinner with those guys. But so I would go visit him, and I met Triple H, and I met a whole bunch of wrestlers that were fans. Like Randy Orton came out and he went, oh, Sex Machine. So that happens a lot. So then I met Jerry Lawler, you know, and I would just keep going to visit him. And I guess by talking to Triple H, you know, I showed him pictures on my phone of some of the stuff we've done, that he asked me to do his crown for WrestleMania. So we did that 5 years in a row. And then other wrestlers, Rey Mysterio, Bray Wyatt, we got the job to do all their masks. And then we did Corey Taylor's mask for Slipknot, you know, so we've become a mask making company, it seems, mostly lately. So. But it was just by, you know, meeting those guys. He has a question. Hi. Yep.
Who's your favorite Johnny, Restrainer or the remake?
Oh, Bill Moseley, of course. Yeah, Bill Moseley. Yeah, it's much, you know, I didn't know Rush Steiner, you know, that well, but I knew Bill.
I actually had a question with you doing the Fiend mask for WWE. Was that a cooperation between, who thought of the idea for the mask? Was that you, or was that a combination of?
Well, we thought of how it should look, and of course, it had to be okayed, you know, by those guys. But basically, they left us alone. You know, they accepted whatever we did, you know, so it was great fun.
I had a question about the picture on the headstone of Johnny and Barbara's mother wearing that funny hat. Was there a backstory behind that?
Yeah, good question. I'm glad you asked that. The reason the mother's picture is on the tombstone with those flowers and stuff, because when the zombies were coming to the house in the window, there's a real skinny, black, bony guy. He's a replacement. The mother came to the window. Well, first of all, a female zombie came to the window, and Barbara, before shooting it, thought of her mother. And then you see the zombie turn into her mother. And they're yelling, shoot it, shoot it. And she can't shoot it because it's her mother in her mind. But then she comes to her senses, the zombie turns into a zombie, and then she kills it. But the purpose of that was so when the mother appeared at the door, you knew who she was. Well, obviously Barbara is, and the mother is saying, where's Johnny, Barbara, you know? But what's interesting about that is the female zombie who did come to the window. Oh, the reason the black guy is there is because there was a female zombie that turned into Barbara's mother. Now, we were outside on the ground looking up the steps when that zombie is trying to get in and they shoot it in the head. I wanted a shot of her falling backwards with her face upside down close to the camera. Now we shot that, but she never got back up. She was knocked out. The squib, the bullet hit, came off the metal plate and was just floating out there. So when it went off, it gave her a concussion, knocked her out. So the producers thought she might sue the company, whatever, so we could not use the footage that was so perfect. So the black guy is a cab driver that I had one day. Hey man, you want to be a zombie? Yeah, okay. He's the reason that guy's in the window. I saw a hand go up over there, no? Okay. Yeah, right there. You should just sit over there. You should just sit over there.
All right, I'll hang on. Okay, here you go. No, you're good.
Can you hear me with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. What's your favorite version of zombies because they've evolved with all the additional zombie shows? The fast moving, the talking. Which are the most successful representations of a zombie?
Well, George Romero used to sell bumper stickers that said, "Fast zombies suck." And I agree with him. I mean, they're dead. They're going to be continuing to be dead and rot, and and they're not going to get superpowers and run. So, I get a lot of compliments about the zombies in my Night of the Living Dead 90. Although Nicotero is doing the best zombies today, but that's a combination of CGI and practical effects, and those are the best effects. Combination of CGI. I wish I had CGI trying to solve problems when I was doing the live stuff. My stuff happened right in front of you. As Rick Baker's werewolf transformation, that happened right in front of you. There's a collective dislike of CGI today, because if it looks impossible, it must be CGI. Well, that's not always true. Sometimes we do make stuff that looks impossible.
So I've got one back here again behind you. I just keep showing up. What was the thing that made you a monster kid? Was there one particular moment, or was it just a gravitation?
What's the thing that made me a monster kid? I saw a movie when I was 11 called Man of a Thousand Faces. Anybody see that?
So it was Lon Chaney.
Yes, the story of Lon Chaney. I think I told you I have a son named Lon, and he has a daughter named Chaney. And, but he was a huge influence. He's what made me want to be one of the guys that creates the monsters.
When you knew you wanted to create the monsters, was it immediately you knew you wanted to make them for film or stage, or were you drawing monsters thinking you're going to be an artist? Were you planning on going into special effects? What was the trajectory?
Well, I needed to learn about makeup, and you couldn't learn about it back then. You had to work by. I used to go to school grade school, with half my eyebrows missing, nose putty in my hair, because I was experimenting on myself. Then I realized I could experiment on my friends, So I used to make them look like half their head was burned off, and they would go home, and the parents were like, "Who did that?" Tom Savini. Well, you can't play with him anymore, But that was it. I learned by experiment, and then eventually when the books started coming out, of course, I learned from those. And now I have a school, as you know, in Monessen, PA, that teaches it. You have a question?
I do have a question. I've just thought of it.
I can't hear him.
I'm not loud enough.
So, my name's Will. Nice to meet you. I have a question. Do you feel like you're the Beatles or the Rolling Stones of special effects? Like the guys before you were like the classic, 1950s guys, but then you came along and kind of were the punk rock or the first guy to think outside the box, and you led a generation of other guys, obviously too.
I don't have the time or the crayons to explain that to you. Obviously, I've said that to you before. No, that has to be your opinion.
Yeah.
You have to say whether you think I am. I can't say that. It's like style. We don't know what our style is. We just do our thing, and you say that's his style. We don't purposely try to become a style. So that has to be somebody else's opinion. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, what, on the
Yeah.
Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
I think you're more Stones than Beatles.
More Stones?
Yeah.
Stones.
Not Mick Jagger.
Yeah, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards.
Keith Richards.
Vampires. Both
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, time does treat me differently than most people.
Well, when you were talking about style and how everybody has their own style, if you had to direct somebody to one thing in your career that sort of encompasses your style, what would that one film or character be?
Yeah, but see, you misunderstood me. We don't know what our style is.
Well, from your perspective.
We just do it.
Well,
it would have to be your perspective, because you're the one that calls it style. We're just doing what we do, you know?
Right. Do you have something that you're most proud of that stands out above the others that you think's head and shoulders above?
Playing a guy called Sex Machine was pretty cool.
I wouldn't say Garbage Man number 2, but you know.
No. Number 2, fuck you! What'd you say I want? Garbage Man number 2 and what else?
Assistant biker?
Yeah, assistant biker.
Assistant leader of the bikers. Yeah.
That's a hell of a resume.
Well, but you don't see Richie anymore after that. I'm the guy that runs in carrying a sword and killing zombies. By the way, see that motorcycle up there? That's the actual bike from the movie where I cut that zombie's head off. Now we're doing a photo walk tomorrow, but I forgot my motorcycle jacket and my sword. So Cartman's bringing it out tonight. So at least we'll have that for the photo shoot. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a quick one. I know you have the whole history with Lon Chaney Sr., obviously. Have you ever tried to, I've never seen anything done with the London After Midnight look. Have you ever tried that? The shaved teeth, the pulled back?
No. I held those teeth in my hands once.
Really?
Forrest Ackerman had it as part of his collection. And what's interesting is it wasn't individual sharp teeth. It was a block of wax that was cut like teeth that were like an inch, like a whole inch, made of gutta percha. You know, it was in Lon Chaney's makeup kit in Corey Ackerman's house. So I did hold, but no, I never tried to do that. Were you racing? Yeah, go ahead.
Right here.
I was at Monsters Cafe in Universal and I saw you design some masks, and I hear in the bust, and I hear in the new park they might do a Monsters section for Epic Universe. Do you think, are they reaching out yet for you to maybe design? I don't know if they're doing that yet.
No, that's where they're going to put it there. They took it out of the Monster Cafe, and they're going to use it in that new park.
Monsters, that Universal Monsters area.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's it's going to be an Epic Universe.
Yeah, they shut down the Monster Cafe.
Unfortunately.
At Disney World. But yeah, they're building a whole new
area, whole park section.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, that's
good. And Norman Cabrera is creating a lot of the Universal monsters for that park. His stuff is beautiful. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
I've got one while he's heading over there. You mentioned that you held those teeth. Do you own any of the Lon Chaney's stuff at all?
No, no, unfortunately. But I do have a replica makeup kit of his. It cost like $5,000. A guy named Tony Laudati, and it's full of old makeup and the mirror and hair, old-fashioned makeup supplies. Yeah, it's and on top there's a plate. A brass plate that says Lon Chaney.
Very cool.
So I have a replica makeup kit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite head explosion that you've done? Dawn of the Dead or The Prowler or yourself in Maniac or what?
Well, they're all pretty good. I think blowing my own head off in Maniac, that's my favorite. Because you're not allowed to fire a gun in New York City. We stole that shit. We weren't supposed to be there, especially firing a shotgun through a windshield. It knocked me off the car. Somebody caught me, But we were gone within 60 seconds after I blew my own head off. Under the Verrazzano Bridge. We did that. Any other hands? Yeah, go ahead.
What's your favorite monster that you've created?
Favorite monster that I've created? Well, they're all my children. It's kind of hard to have a favorite child.
Fluffy.
Yeah, I've never done anything like Fluffy before, so. My favorite too. Oh yeah, well, okay, he's my favorite. Because I had no idea how to do that. I called Rob Bottin on the phone, and he explained 2 hours. He explained to me exactly how to make it. That's the only reason I knew how to make it, because Rob Bottin taught me over the phone.
Oh.
This is pretty weird. There's customers walking around. How do they know if you're just not a customer walking in? You have a wristband or something?
It's a velvet rope, yeah.
Okay, cool.
See, we're doing this and they're shopping, so it's literally what George was talking about with Dawn of the Dead.
There's no more room now.
Do you guys have any more questions?
Yeah, I got one right here.
Hey, the Friday the 13th that you did, were you there the whole time? Like, we did the tour up there, and I know, like they said about how there was a bleeding accident, and one of them had to go to the hospital, or they got burned by some big blood. That's what they were saying.
That was Harry Crosby. Harry Crosby, when he's pinned to the door with arrows, yeah, the blood was flowing into his eye, and it actually burned his eye. He had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
But there were no other. What?
What?
Hey, keep it down back there. We're doing a show here. What was we talking about? Oh, Friday the 13th. But what else did you ask me? The eye burning.
Were you there the whole time?
Was I there? Yes, of course. Yeah. We were in Connecticut and created all the stuff, then moved to the camp in Pennsylvania, Camp Novi Bosco. That's where you were.
Jersey.
Camp Novi Bosco.
It's New Jersey.
I did that tour with people, and the archery range is still there. Yeah. And you were able to sit in the canoe and have Ari Lehman grab you. That was one of the photo ops, I think. Yeah. The police officer, I hate that guy. Yeah, I hate that guy.
Right over,
Yeah, I'll go into it later.
right over here.
This is a weird one, but
I'll be the judge of that.
what was it like being animated into The Simpsons?
Oh, that was great fun. It's called the worst episode ever. Season 12, the worst episode ever. We actually sat in a conference room with all the cast, and they invited family members to sit around. And then we did the episode, and that's how they timed the laughs, or whether jokes should stay in or not. So that was a blast. And I came home to Pittsburgh, and they changed the whole script, and I had to go to a sound studio and redo it, and they directed me over the phone, watching the footage. Anyway, it's called the worst episode ever. Go ahead.
Would you have liked to have completed the original dark ending of Dawn, or are you happy with the ambiguous ending?
I know I like the happy ending, yeah. We did shoot some of it though. We shot Galen Ross's body falling away from the helicopter because she kills herself by sticking her head in the helicopter blades. But all we shot was her body falling away. We never shot any of the suicides.
Whoa.
A quick comment and the question. First, you're the money shot into horror movies.
Sometimes.
I want your 2 cents on Gene Siskel.
Well, I felt sorry for the guy toward the end, you know. But my feeling is always that critics know the way, but they can't drive the car. Thank you.
We haven't discussed Day of the Dead much. I know we've talked about this before, but can you maybe elaborate on the smells that came?
The smells?
Weren't there some issues with some what?
With Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead.
You've seen Day of the Dead, right?
Woo!
Okay, those intestines were real intestines. They were pig intestines. And when we went to Florida to shoot that footage, we were gone for like 3 weeks. Somebody unplugged the refrigerator. So those guts rotted in a 5-gallon drum for 3 weeks. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning. We couldn't go out and buy new pig intestines. So poor Joe Pilato, who was trapped under the floor, he was breathing that for 3 hours. And we couldn't protect him because you would have seen it. We had gas masks on. We were totally, but poor Joe, he was ready to heave. You can't imagine how horrible that smell was.
It's amazing that he didn't.
He did not, yeah. Okay, this is only as good as your questions. Yeah. Hang on, here he comes.
Were you upset that it wasn't Danny Trejo who killed you in Machete 2?
Was I upset that what?
That Danny Trejo didn't kill you in Machete 2.
Didn't kill me?
Yeah, he wasn't the one who didn't really get to kill you. He just hold you when you died.
Well, I was a priest.
I know, but I remember seeing an interview. It was like we didn't even do a second Machete because we didn't kill Tom Savini.
Well, no. Then we did Machete. We did part 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, in part 2, I was the priest.
Yes.
But in the original one, yeah, you never see me after that. No, they did kill me. They did kill me. Danny and like 9 other guys dragged me into this warehouse, and they have a saw, a portable, big saw blade. You see it coming at me, and blood splashes on them. But see, I had to fly home the next day, so I asked Robert not to splash blood on me, because it would have stained. That stain would have lasted. So, and he also took that scene out of the movie so he could bring me back for part 2 as the priest. But, when Danny was strangling me, I grabbed his arm. He said, don't grab my arm. He wanted his bicep to show. And I can't. Anybody else? Here we go. Yes.
So we already know how you feel. What's that? So we already know how you feel about the Friday the 13th reboot. And it seems like 1 in 3 movies seems to be either a remake or a reboot of some sort of franchise. How do you feel about the fact that movies seem to be going in that direction, constantly regurgitating the same storyline? And if you could choose any franchise to reboot your way, which would it be?
What would I pick? What do I think about? I mean, sometimes a remake is better than the original, sometimes. But you have to understand, these are production companies that own a title. And they're always thinking about how can we make more money, Well, we own this, let's put it out again, Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't, as you know, okay? But if I had to do one, what would I do? A franchise? I don't know. I asked to direct Friday the 13th, Part 8, okay? And my idea was when Frankenstein, the Wolfman, all the monsters had been out there for so long, they combined them with comedians like Abbott and Costello. Now, it killed the monsters forever, but the career of Abbott and Costello skyrocketed, okay? So my idea was to take like a black rap group and have Jason chase them and make it a comedy. Well, they didn't like that idea. So. Anyway, so maybe Friday the 13th. Because it's so stupid. Let's make it smarter, somehow.
Yeah. They did do that idea, though. And
What?
Halloween. Busta Rhymes is in Halloween.
I can't hear you.
He's Busta Rhymes is in Halloween.
So they stole your idea.
They stole my idea.
They stole your idea because they put LL Cool J and Busta Rhymes in Halloween.
Which one?
In Halloween Resurrection.
Those fuckers.
They stole your idea. Yeah.
Hey, are you the guy that usually has a shaved head? Usually. Okay.
So at this
With the tattoos.
So at this point in your career, and obviously they're completely different, but is there one thing that you enjoy more, directing, the special effects, the acting? At this point, is there one thing that...
Yeah, I think I'd rather do, I think I need an afternoon nap too much to direct anything again, Because, on Night of the Living Dead, when it was lunch, I was sound asleep somewhere in the middle of the night. When you're an effects guy, you do your thing and then you leave. You're done. The director is there 24 hours a day almost. As an actor, well, acting is the hardest thing to do. You have to cry in 5 minutes. Now, what would it take for you to gear up mentally, physically, to make your body produce tears. That's what an actor does, okay? That's the hardest thing there is to do, I think, anyway. It's the most fun, though, to be other people.
As far as the different films and the directors you worked with, as far as setting up the gags, were there any that you were obviously more easy to work with, less easy to work with, that stood out as far as the story?
As far as the directors go?
Yes.
Well, a lot of directors don't realize these are magic tricks, okay? You've got to teach them this is a magic trick. So you need a shot of this in order for the effect scene to work, okay? So George Romero was not one of those directors. He knew that this was all magic. Joe Zito, same thing. Robert Rodriguez, same thing. They all were aware that this is a magic trick, you know. But like I said, sometimes you have to teach the director on what to shoot, you know. So, but those guys, yeah, those guys were great to work with. Yeah.
You make a good point with Friday the 13th, how they're cheesy. I don't know if you saw Never Hike Alone, where it's a bit more serious. Do you know, is there a reason why they embrace the cheese with the Nightmare or the Friday the 13th? Is there a reason why you think
They're just incompetent filmmakers?
Yeah, that's what I agree.
I never saw what's it called?
Never Hike Alone. You can see it on YouTube. And I've never hiked in the snow. It's a more serious take on Jason.
Is it like so it's like the Friday the 13th movies?
They're fan films.
Yes,
They're
they're fan films.
Fan-made.
They've
They have a
actually
budget.
employed some of the actors though.
Yeah.
Well, I love fan films because they're coming from the fans who do what they want to have seen, you know?
Yeah, they're like I said, way more serious tone and way better story.
Okay, I'll check it out. Anybody else? Right here, here's a guy. Stand for 10 minutes.
There you go.
Oh, no, he's right here.
Go ahead.
It was him first. Was there ever a gag that you really wanted to do that got cut that comes to mind of like, oh, it would have been great?
No. They, in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, they left everything in, but they shot it quick so they could concentrate on Jason dying, okay? So they got away with that. But most of the stuff I've done makes it in the film, yeah.
I've seen in old interviews with you that you had a big VHS collection. I want to know how big your home video collection is now. Did you switch to DVD and Blu-ray?
Yeah, there's no more VHSs, I think. In fact, there's a place downtown called Ides. Anybody know Ides? Yeah, they have all my stuff. In fact, I signed some of it. People bring it to me to sign the stuff I threw away at Ides. But no, it's all I have over 10,000 videos, and they're wasting space because I can sit there in front of my big TV in my bed and say a movie title, boom, it comes on. You know, from somewhere, from Hulu, from Tubi. I say a movie title, and it's most of the time it pops right up. Sometimes you got to pay for it, you know. Oh, I thought you had a question. Oh, you do. All right. Here.
Are there any characters that you portrayed in any movies that you feel like you could relate to personally?
Any characters that I could relate to personally? Will, help me with this.
Sex machine.
Sex machine?
Sex
But it's the same guy from Dawn of the Dead, right? It's the same guy. He just, well, he wound up in Night Riders, but he began in the mall. You know. Wait, a character that I could relate to the most. The Sex Machine was kind of an idiot, wasn't he? About werewolves and silver bullets and all that stuff. But he was good with the bullwhip, you know, that's me. What else have I done? The sheriff in Grindhouse, Planet Terror, Deputy Tolo. No, he was an idiot too. Sex Machine.
What was the most time-consuming project you worked on? Like the
Creepshow.
We only got one shot at this. We got to get it right.
Creepshow. As soon as you started saying it, I knew it was Creepshow. Creepshow is 5 movies, little short movies, you know. So, and we started 4 months before they started shooting, preparing Nate's corpse, Fluffy, all that. Yeah. So that was the most time-consuming Creep Show.
Sort of playing off the question from earlier about things you shot and made for the film. As your career progressed, were you sort of able to sort of see what the MPAA was going to be doing and what you were going to be up against, or did you just go for it and they're going to cut it, they're going to cut it?
I didn't give a shit about
Didn't
the
give a
ending.
shit, yeah.
We did it. Yeah. If it stayed in, you know, it was the director's call as to how much to leave in, you know.
Yeah.
But Night of the Living Dead 90, now that the rating board came down hard on us, and you know, it's a pretty sterile movie. If you see George Romero and Tom Savini's name together on a movie, you're expecting a bloodbath, you know. But they made us cut all the exit wounds on the head hits. I wasn't there in LA. I might have fought harder for it. They didn't fight for it. Right there, Night of the Living Dead 90, that's my newest book. It's the version you've never seen before. It's everything I didn't get to do, yeah. Thanks.
I think that's about all the time we got. We
How
good?
about one more question?
Absolutely.
One more question. No, over there, he hasn't had a question. The blue shirt.
Right here, the best question of the day.
The machete scene in Dawn. In one of the documentaries in the 4K set, George seemed a little on the fence about how well he thought it came across. I thought it came across awesome. How did you feel about it?
No, he loved it. I thought he loved it. You know.
Okay. He seemed like it was just kind of like, he had a close eye for that stuff, but I thought it looked great.
Well, for one thing, they crossed the line when they were shooting it. Here's me swinging the machete from right to left, and the machete goes in him from left to right. They violated the line. Maybe that's why he doesn't like it, because, I mean, you could have I reversed it in the editing of my stuff, you know, but they didn't. It came out that way.
You guys know what he's talking about when he refers to crossing the line, right?
So maybe that's why he didn't like it, but anyway, hey, thanks for coming. If you're